On today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you all about your energetic bank account and where you might be draining yourself. Now, if you are like me and how I used to be, maybe you find yourself always tired. You are always overthinking and going through like all these different scenarios, all these different stories, fear, anxiety, worry, doubt, just all that kind of negative self-talk and self-thinking, right? And you just find yourself exhausted all the time. This was my life for years and years and years, and I'm going to be breaking down some really powerful shifts for you, as well as sharing a few different mindfulness techniques and things that absolutely changed everything for me in terms of how I think, how I spend my energy each day, and how I'm able to now be free from that place. So it's really going to change everything. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I am here to help you live your truth. So today's video is a biggie, okay? I want you to think about your energetic bank account, right? We have a money bank account. We know that you put money out, hopefully you put money in. You know that if you are writing a check for someone, it's an exchange of energy, right? Money is just a form of energy as well. But what I want to talk about specifically today is the energy of your thoughts, your beliefs, and basically how much you can be draining yourself with your thoughts. So everything requires energy, right? Are you actually using it to enhance your life, or are you using it to waste your life? So let's take the example I gave at the beginning, how I used to think, how probably a lot of you watching this are thinking right now if you're watching it, if you're stuck around. So you have all these thoughts a day, right? The human brain has anywhere from 40,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. Now, 95% of those are subconscious, so we're not even aware of them. They're just kind of happening, and they're almost just feel like they're programmed into the computer software that is our brain, and they keep us stuck in these certain loops. You've heard about negative feedback loops. I talk about it in my free mindset training a lot more in depth. You can check that out in the link below. But you have these loops. Say something happens in your life. Say you have an argument with a family member or friend. Most likely there is like a subconscious loop that gets triggered. And so it brings you back into this place with these certain thoughts. You start to cycle and spiral through them. You start to get further and further into the rabbit hole, putting your energy out, getting drained, exhausted, imagining all the different scenarios that could play out, feeling all the pain from this fight and the pain from previous fights all the way back to childhood. You might not even be aware of this, okay? You might not be sitting here going like, most people aren't. You probably aren't going like, oh, my family member said this, it really triggered me, and it made me feel like this, and it reminded me of that time when I was 6, and it reminded me of that time when I was 12, and it reminded me of all these other times when people hurt me and I felt this way. Like, you're probably not consciously aware of that, but on a subconscious level, your brain is like skimming through the files in its computer, right? It's like you've got this huge file thing, and it's like finding everything that it can to match up with how it's feeling. So you have this little disagreement, this little argument or whatever, or someone says a small hurtful thing to you, but then how are you using your thoughts and your energy in that situation? Most people use it in a way that actually hurts them and takes more energy from them and leaves them feeling more drained and more worse off, more negative. So let me know in the comments below if that is you, if that is a spiral you find yourself getting stuck in. Again, I used to be there all the time, so I feel you. The thing is that you have what I want you to realize from this video is like you have so much power in who you are, and you have so much capability, but you need to become conscious about where you're putting your energy. So if you get in that spiral that I just mentioned and you're going down into that place, think about how much energy you have just wasted and created on a negative situation that isn't actually going to help fix it or help better you afterwards, right? I cannot explain. I've probably wasted years of my life worrying about what if this happens, what if they say that, what will I do then? Oh my gosh, this is like, it's gonna turn into this, it's gonna escalate more, it's gonna get into this huge horrible, insane situation. Like most of the time that didn't even happen, but I spent so much of my energy imagining what would happen that I was literally, like, if we look at it like a little checkbook, an energy checkbook, I was just like writing checks all day of my energy to these thoughts. Okay, that is the point. You are writing checks every day of your energy, putting them into your thoughts. So are you writing checks of abundance, aka checks of really positive thoughts, enforcing thoughts, things that are making you feel positive, successful, capable, strong? Because then you're writing checks into your bank account. You are literally using these positive thoughts, writing checks to yourself that are reinforcing, building you up, creating more positive energy. So that's a good thing, right? You're receiving. But are you doing that, or are you actually writing checks of negative thoughts, fear-based thoughts, anxious thoughts, what if, because then you are writing these checks, you are expending energy, so you're losing energy from yourself in this process, and you're creating a situation that is then going to require more energy to build yourself back up. So you've just written all these checks and said, here, take all this energy of mine, take all of this capacity for thoughts, for creating, for being a conscious creator, take it all, because I'm just going to focus my energy on all these negative limiting things, and I'm stuck in these thoughts right now, so just take this energy from me. So you're giving away your energy, and then you're in a worse off situation because of the way your thoughts have spiraled, and then you're going like, oh my gosh, now how do I get out? And I feel so drained and so exhausted, because you are constantly giving the energy from your energetic checkbook, if we say that, right? So I really, really hope you can understand the fact that every single thought you have is energy, and it's either building you up or it's pulling you down, right? So it's so important to take radical responsibility, to take some time to seriously reflect and look at, how am I using my energy right now? Is it actually helping me or hindering me? And I love this quote by Ram Dass, because he says, worry is a form of praying for what you don't want. Worry is a form of praying. What you are focusing on, you are kind of going to end up manifesting. Maybe not 110%, but you are going to manifest it. I don't want to create fear by saying that, because maybe you've been thinking really fearful thoughts lately. Maybe you've been thinking really fearful thoughts, but I don't want you to feel like now it's going to be created because you've been focusing on it, and now you're even more fearful or scared. That's not what I want. What I want you to realize is that you are a conscious creator. So if you're putting day in and day out, putting your energy, your thoughts into all of the fearful things, all of the worry, all of the negativity, you are actually, by law of attraction, you are actually going to create and kind of call some of that into your life, because you're vibrating on the frequency of its existence. You're choosing to live in a space where that is your reality. So what you focus on grows. That is what you're going to see. But if you choose a different form of prayer, if you choose like love, if you choose positivity, if you choose hope, hope is a very beautiful form of prayer, right? Because you're not necessarily trying to take control. You're not necessarily assuming full responsibility and forcing things to work your way, but you're being hopeful. You're being open, right? And the universe really loves when people are open, because then the universe can come in, fill in the cracks, and make things work. So the best way that it can, because it knows what is best for us, not our ego minds, right? That's a tangent, but start praying for what you do want. Moral of the story. Start writing these checks for what it is that you do want, because that's what's going to allow you to not only feel better in the present moment, which who doesn't want that, right? But secondly, it is going to allow you to actually attract and align with what it is you desire, which means you are going to start calling in those things that you want. And I want to share the mindfulness technique that saved me so much energy in this, okay? Because we've all been there. Someone says something, and maybe you can let me know in the comments if this is like you. I am a Taurus, I'm a stubborn bull, so maybe this is like really a thing for us, I don't know, but I'm sure everyone can relate to this on some level, so let me know if it resonates with you too. But I used to really have trouble being wrong and like having people think I was wrong when I knew I was right. You know, when you do something or you say something and you know you did it the right way, but someone else is saying like, whoa, why did you do that? Or like, or they're like demeaning you or like not giving you the credit or the respect, kind of talking you down, and you're like, what? Like, I did it the way I was supposed to. Like, I did exactly what you told me, or like I did more than a good enough job, right? And you're like, I don't know about you, but I used to get really defensive and I would want to prove myself. And this was a big pattern for me in a lot of areas of my life where I felt like I had to prove something, and like I needed that person's acknowledgement in order to feel good in myself. So it wasn't enough for me to just know I did a good job. I needed them to actually acknowledge it. And if they were not giving me the acknowledgement, then I would usually like start an argument or start defending myself and like really fighting for that acknowledgement. Does that make sense? Let me know if you do this too. The thing is it causes such a waste of energy, right? It's the same as when you hear someone say something, you really, really disagree. Maybe it's a really ignorant comment, or maybe it's just their beliefs, but it's like a very strong stance that you disagree with. Ask yourself, how do you tend to respond in those situations? Do you get worked up over it and spend a lot of energy like, oh, I'm so frustrated that they said that, or I wish I would have said this, or I can't believe they think this way, blah, blah, blah? Or do you just kind of like let it slide and you're like, well, or do you say something politely and show your disagreement so that then you can move forward, right? There's a lot of different ways we can handle this situation. Every single one of them is taking a check from our energy checkbook. So I used to need to prove myself, which would mean I would argue. I'd like get my shoulders up, I'd get ready for the fight, you know, and I'd be like, I need to prove that I was right. I need to prove this to people. You know how much extra energy that took from me? Because now I'm creating a situation of confrontation. And you probably can tell even just from watching my videos, I'm not someone who likes confrontation. I don't think anyone does. But I was creating extra force, extra energy, extra tension because I had to prove that I was right, you know? And I was writing these checks of my energy into these thoughts, into what I was taking action on. And a lot of times, no matter how hard I try, that person still didn't fully see what I was hoping they would see. So I still kind of lost. Do you know what I mean? I was always trying to win. I used to be crazy competitive. And played a ton of high level sports, so like I had to be competitive, and so I didn't really know any other way. Now, thankfully, in all of my spiritual awakening and all of my learning and growth and traveling and certifications and stuff, I stumbled upon mindfulness, and this helped me so much because I started to realize that the energy I was expending in these arguments or in these little situations was really not worth it at all, you know? So what helped me so much and that I want to share with you is like, know when to fight your battles and when they are worth having the conversation about, or when they are worth having the energy exchange, and when it's just something that, you know, you just kind of let it slide by. And Osho has such a beautiful thing, the way of the white cloud, of like just letting that white cloud pass by. We're not clinging to it, we're not holding on to it, we're not like letting it stay above our head and then create a rain cloud and a storm cloud that then is going to affect us for the rest of the day, aka what I used to do all the time, carry that one argument or that one situation with me for the rest of the day, stressing, being angry, feeling disrespected, feeling hurt, like all of the negative connotations that I was technically writing more checks out of my energy checkbook of like how much time and energy I was wasting on this one simple conversation or one simple argument, right? Versus letting it go. Just, is this worth the energy to stress over? Is this worth the energy to be right? And what I started to realize is that there were a lot of relationships in my life where people did not see eye to eye with me, and I could spend all my time and energy trying to just get them to explain where I was coming from, trying to just get them to see what I was seeing, and it wasn't working. So then I would feel disheartened and drained. And it was like, what is the point of that? There is no point in that. So what I started to do was step back. And, when those little comments came up or those arguments, or when they didn't really understand, and people still do make little ignorant comments about me or what I do or anything, instead of me like raging and getting fired up or getting like super caught in my head of all the things I would say to them, I'm just like, fuck it. Like, cool, that's great. I'm glad you feel that way. It's really interesting to know more about you and your perspective on life and your beliefs, because that's all it is. It's just a reflection of their beliefs. It's not a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of you. So if you stop giving that power to them, like I used to give that power to them, and then they had the power over my energy, because now I'm getting fired up or angry or hurt and spending the rest of the day, maybe the rest of the week, holding on to that. So that's in my control, and this is the whole point of this video, right? It's in your control. So take your power back and stop giving them all of your energy, all your attention, all your focus. Realize that you are in control of what you write your checks to. And there are always going to be people who don't understand. There's always going to be people who make snide little comments or judge you or just misunderstand you from a simple like stance of the fact that they've lived a different life. They don't know 110% of who you are and what you've been through, right? So they can't always resonate 110%. So instead of like holding that and letting it really affect you, it's about like leaning back, just seeing it as that white cloud. It's like, is this worth me getting in an argument for to be right, when then I'm still going to be stressed and drained after? Or is it just like, I got really good personally at just like laughing at it. If it was something obviously super rude or I really disagreed with, I would say that, and I'd say, hey, that's not cool, or I don't really appreciate that. But if it wasn't worth me and my energy, I wouldn't even engage. I wouldn't even continue to go down that path with them. It would be like, change the topic, or leave the room, or see you never. Like, peace. So you have the power what you're putting your energy into, and I really hope you can choose to put it towards things that help you. So I'd love for you to affirm down below, I am now aware of where I write my checks. I'm now aware of where I write my checks. Or like, I've got a solid grasp on my energy checkbook and I am all about abundance, right? You are calling in this new belief for yourself. So affirm it down below, something that feels good for you, that is going to help you remember that you are in control of your energy, where you're putting it to, where you're allowing yourself to be drained, right? You wouldn't go out and just write a bunch of checks of money to strangers and end up in debt or broke, right? Because you need that money to live. So why are you writing a bunch of energy checks and checks of all of your thoughts, all of your emotions, all of your energy that you have for the day? Why are you writing all these checks to other people and to your thoughts to just throw out and leave yourself drained and struggling to get through the day, right? It's the same thing, but we don't think of it that way. So I hope this really helps. I hope this helps you to see that You are in control more than you probably know, and it's all about taking that power back, taking that awareness back, getting clear on where you're putting your energy every single day, and starting to put it into things that actually serve you. So if you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up if you like this video. Please make sure you've subscribed, turned on the notifications so that you do not miss these daily videos. If you found this helpful, please share it with friends, right? And I will see you on the next video. Bye guys.